I will now briefly continue with kind of enlargement of what Susan, Ben, and Stephen were presenting. And actually in EFAPCO, we have been trying to identify some opportunities for greater cooperation, not just within EFAPCO, but maybe with some other subjects slightly outside of our industry. And a couple of next slides is actually something what I would like to share with you about the opportunities. Because when we were looking for potential development of curriculum and our activities, usually in the association you run to a problem of resources. We are all busy people, we are all people managing our own organizations, and we are working with our own limited resources. So one of the activities which we've done in EFAPCO last year was actually looking for a potential source of financing of larger projects. And we did a kind of a simplification of what is available in Erasmus Plus program in the European Union. And we have identified those 4 potential projects, which I'll show you a little bit more in details, just to get you inspired, just to get you, let's say, broaden your horizons and maybe think about partnerships, because that's what we will be in a certain period of time. We might be looking for partners to actually join this. So these are the 4 potential projects in Erasmus+. The first one is the Knowledge Alliances. This is actually a project which is oriented to boosting innovation in higher education and in the business and in the environment. From our point of view, it makes, for instance, the developing of a new multidisciplinary curricula. When I was meeting with Ben Gittus and when I was looking at his project for Golfers Association, it was kind of a nice and positive surprise for me when looking at the functional map of the people working in a golf industry and the people who are managing golf education and managing golf courses and so on. Part of their curricula was actually to organize golf competitions, to organize golf events, and actually even to organize social events. So clear need for this multidisciplinary approach is visible, as well as process innovation. If I'm coming back to the whole idea of Erasmus Plus project, it's all concentrated on education, it's all concentrated on young people. And I believe the young people are a great hope of our industry. And if I should speak about the findings of Sam van der Kerkhoff, who was with his team in past, he did a very good analysis of how the meeting industry is educated in different countries in Europe. And the ways of educating of the meeting industry are very much different from UK, where it's very much developed on a different levels. For instance, if I compare it to situation in Czech Republic, we have all the meeting industry stuff which is taught is only taught as a part of the other curriculums, either in tourism or in hotel management. So a clear thing is that if we are able to promote a specific education for us, this will also give us a better recognition of our industry. So I believe that's something we have to invest in. But coming back to the opportunities with Erasmus+, the knowledge alliances, and I'm not reading the whole slide for you, this is something what you can do. An interesting point is actually introducing entrepreneurship education. Entrepreneurship is definitely a great topic for us in our industry. If I can speak about numbers, for instance, from Netherlands, there is some 160 PCOs registered, and most of these organizations are 2-people organizations. next level is 5 to 10 people organization. So actually all of us, we have to be entrepreneurs in our own organizations. And not only so, in the recent development of PCOs, we have also seen that we are not just suppliers to our clients. We are partnering with our clients. We are taking part of the entrepreneurial risk of our partners, especially in association meetings. So the entrepreneurship education is very important for us. Knowledge Alliances, the very first program of Erasmus, is also supporting the exchanges of students, teaching staff, and company staff for a limited period. So this is an opportunity which EFAPCO was exploring on supporting the exchange of staff between companies. We sometimes do it just very informally between our companies when we need someone who speaks great French for a meeting which is really oriented towards French clientele. We ask our friends, partners, and colleagues to help us. So here's kind of a common ground for all of us. Second project is a mobility project for young people and youth workers. And again, you see here's the space for similar organizations like EFAPCO, because they require 2 or more participating organizations. This is kind of our definition, and I'm looking at the civic exchange, engagement and social care, which is very close to the association business, which for most of us is our daily bread. The third project is actually sector skill alliances. This is something what is probably most close to what Susan and Ben were talking about, occupational profiles of the classification of European skills, competencies, and qualifications. Again, you see the same wording. It's designing the EU sector-specific curricula. What was interesting on the findings of Sam when he was doing his research was the fact that actually a very important part of the teaching of the event industry is done by the people who do not have practical experience in the event industry. So again, this is a space which we can shape with our own experience, with the things which we have learned hard way by doing it. And I have to confess myself that I'm actually, by my occupation, I'm a building engineer. So actually I came to this industry because of 2 things. Because of my love to travel, and I was working in the students' organizations, and I was always looking into kind of a project management. And when I look at the people of my age, they usually have a much different background, coming from every type of industry. I believe for the young people coming to our industry, it's going to be different, because today there is much more stress on proper education. So they will have degrees in tourism, they will have degrees in hotel management, and hopefully in sometimes they will have degrees in meetings management. Some already have, but we need to actually spread it across Europe. What we need is to be competitive on a worldwide scale. We need some kind of an open European market, even for our skills. Last program is the strategic partnership in the field of education, training, and youth. And again, you see highlighted the activities that strengthen the cooperation between organizations with a view to establishing exchange of practices. If you are more interested in the Erasmus Plus program, you can go to the respective websites. There are documents in each national languages. I have to remind you that most of these programs are open for submissions only once a year. It's usually typically by the end of February. And you either submit through your national organization or you submit directly to European headquarters. And there is much more stuff on the website available. So it's enough just to Google. I don't even give the direct connections. So that was the kind of additional and supplementary information to what Susan has presented here. And before I will invite our next speaker, I will try to move up and down. I mean, it's all the information coming to you. Now I've got kind of a little challenge for you with my brief next presentation. And I have to start this presentation by saying that this is not official EFAPCO point of view, but it's my own personal point of view. This is something what is intended to spark a discussion on the development of a PCO as an organization. And I already know, because we did some discussions, that the development of a PCOs is viewed differently, not just within the nations, but within our own personal experience with the development. So a little Czech story starts at the beginning. I mean, we started all in Czech Republic 20 years ago. There was just one governmental agency, and we had the main Congress Center designed for party meetings. So first private subject started to work in 1990. You see it, that in mid-90s we started to specialize as a PCOs. And the great breakthrough for Prague was the winning of the International Monetary Fund meeting. If I describe the Czech market, it's a little bit lower than half of EU average. Prague is responsible for 80% of tourism, and typical PCO income in Prague is based on international conferences. There are some 4 PCOs associated with PCB, Prague Convention Bureau, and Prague, last position of Prague was 11th on ICA statistics. And now I'm getting to the situation of a PCO. The original PCO was based on actually managing all the aspects of the conference, especially logistics and delivery of services on a professional level, which is the right definition. There is nothing wrong with that. Sustainability of a PCO operation, from my point of view, was based on developing better services, developing complex bundled services, and a value proposition as well as a long-term clients' relationships. I mean, we had to start our kind of internal ambassadors program to get the international conferences to Prague, because Czech scientists were not as much connected as, for instance, Greek scientists or scientists from other countries. What happened then? There came the bigger PCOs, some of the PCOs started to grow. Some of us in need of keeping the longer relationship to the client started to work with core PCO contracts. Initially, it was just a type of a contract. Later, it's changed to the type of operation. And the sustainability of the operation was based on developing the client's products, conferences, developing the growth together, and sharing the risk as well as long-term contracts. We had to react to it because some of our clients coming to Prague have been supported by another PCO. So we had to adopt by working in the type of a local PCO contracts. And this is the type of operation where we are working for clients beyond the abilities of association-owned staff. And it was our way to stay competitive between PCO and DMC operation. And it was typically combined operation between PCO and DMC type. To be more competitive in our industry, we had also to develop the association management approach. We had to, if we wanted to serve the client a little bit more, a little bit longer, to grow into the operations of a client, we started to have our own department to serve specific association needs specific association type of clients. Very often this was associated with a very small profit. But the aim of that operation initially, for instance, for us on the Czech market, it was to secure contract on organizing major clients conference. So we were working for very little money just to get the right conference and just to get the stability. So this type of operation has a high sustainability potential, but it's costly and requires different skills and different operational modus, different culture. And I'm now coming to a place where I would like you to think about what are the forces which are shaping your future. If I should sum it up, the first thing which is shaping the future of a PCO is kind of a democratization of the services. You can buy cheap registration software or just hire registration software. There is a lot of knowledge for free on the internet. I mean, if you want to search a new destination for some type of a clients, it's enough to Google it. You've got convention bureaus which want to stay competitive and which give a lot of services for free. The other thing is internet and open market. Services online, EU market, easy to operate abroad. If I want to organize a conference in Greece, I can come here. I can actually even register for a VAT, which is in most countries relatively simplified stuff. Our suppliers are more educated, so they sometimes are bridging something what we used to do on our own. There are relatively low entry costs with for smaller conferences. You don't have to have a big investment to start a company. There's kind of a gray zone of the economics where we know that some of our clients are actually competing with us. And on the other hand, from the big association, there is a professionalism of clients. It's a growing ability of clients or core PCO contracts. On the other hand, something what is shaping our industry are the high cost of professional standards. You know how much does it cost you if you want to educate your staff, if you want to bring some additional skills. If you do everything right, you sometimes get less flexibility, because once you grow into certain type of the operation, then there is all administrative duties and bureaucratic duties, and you have to pay your VAT every month, etc. You are much more concerned about the safety, sustainability. There is international competition because we are working on the same market. And also there is economical pressure to create surplus, because associations need to grow into a mode where they are able to generate more money and stably generate money for their operations. So my private conclusion, what is the opportunities for future growth of the PCOs, and I'm one of a few people who are still defending the PCO acronym as something what is still valid for the future, and I probably will hear a lot of comments from the floor on this. What can still keep our competitive advantage is higher professional level. We have to be ahead of our clients. We have to be ahead of our suppliers. Sometimes working with our clients and working with our suppliers to develop solutions together. We have to work on effective and innovative solutions, which is requiring investments. Investments either of money or a time or a concentration. We need to have strategic partnerships with our clients, growing into their organization, trying to understand what they will need, not right now, but what they will need in 3 years' time, what they will need in 5 years' time, what is their own motivation, how they would like to grow, not just looking, okay, this is my part of a service and this is your part of requirements. For some PCOs, maybe a right answer is a niche operations. For instance, I've seen some PCOs to operate in very specific niche, like chemistry conference specialist, where then the PCO is actually able to have even the specialist on the scientific content, people who are able to edit the newsletters and journals. And last opportunity which I see here is the marketing type of the organization, because the clients, what they ask now most, what is kind of a burning question for them, is the question how to increase the number of participants at their conference. Sometimes you even see at the internet that there are some organizations which offer a service increasing number of delegates, like searching for new delegates, searching for new opportunities for their conferences to grow. So this was my brief, very personal look at opportunities of the PCOs and our industry. And we will continue to discuss this thing in the second part of a session. I intentionally put it here so you can make up your mind, you can do your thinking and prepare for a second part of a discussion.